Hola and welcome everybody to Monday Night Fire Shrike. We are starting season 4 this week, and we start off with a sort of a shadowy alleyway. And we start off with kind of like there is a trio of figures walking down the alley, talking amongst themselves softly. Um, and we'll get some description going on here. What the first one appears to be, he wears his hair sort of like moosed, sort of like spiked up a little bit, but he's got like a cobalt gray skin, um, and appears to be dressed relatively nice. He's got kind of a sort of maybe not rich, but certainly not poor look to him. Fairly stylish. And he seems to be carrying himself like he's both a little above it all and also very amused by it all. And to the far left of him, we see a guy, a husky-hued skin, just barely peeking out from the cowl of his hood, and whatnot. We see just the slightest of a beard coming out, like maybe like a goatee style. And then between them, we see a third person. And let's get a description of Harold Silverhand here.
Sarah Silver Child, but
Ah,
Sarah Silver Child he's a human, so he's probably the most boring person you'll ever meet in the galaxy in terms of having all sorts of weird and wacky space arms or whatever. Um, stands. He's actually rather tall. He's about 6 foot tall. No. Um, True to his name, he actually has silver hair that's kept uh, not really styled in any way, but it's kept like cut just to about halfway down the ears, kept out of his face. Um, he's wearing what appears to be standard clothes that you might see on someone, but that have been up armored. So like, and all that underneath a light lilac and white poncho that's made out of composite materials, and it's got like a bandolier sling over it, which has all these various pockets. Dressed to bear, basically. Um, has white eyes that seem to always be kind of hazed over with some kind of fog. Doesn't walk with much surety, almost like he's not certain if the ground where he's going to step is going to actually be there when he takes the step. But is definitely leading this trio down this alleyway, keeping his eye out for something. What that is, maybe he doesn't even know.
all right. Well, you are in fact here on a purpose and a mission. You've been kind of looking into recently, and maybe we get this through like a bit of exposition from your partners here. Um, we hear Calith, the more finely dressed gentleman of them, kind of like, "Are you sure about this? They're bit of a disreputable sort and a bit of over dramatic, if you ask me. Just a little overplayed here. Meet me in a darkened alley. Ooh, and like, are you sure this person actually knows anything? That is, and your other companion remains generally silent. So Kelith kind of continues. He's like, and he kind of continues with this. The he says, even if this fellow knows something of use, which is doubtful, what makes you think in the slightest that he has any idea about your theorized, what did you call them, dimensional rips? Or was it a dimensional tear? Or was it a temporal rift or a temporal tear? And maybe he's kind of doing that thing where it's like he's being just a tad bit mocking, but like one of your like you know he specializes, he's helped a bit, specializes in doing some of the things that you do as well, just not the exact thing. You're an investigator, but his focus is a bit more specialized. uh, how do you reply to Caliph in
Yeah,
your Svartalfar?
Cyril doesn't really like he doesn't look back at him or have any physical response to all of this like what to him is just kind of like childish nickeling and diming at him, but just kind of
Mhm.
makes a grunt and stops and looks around the alley. Not really at the alley. He's got very much that staring off into the middle distance for a moment before he shakes his head and he's like, all realities converge on this point. It was meant to be. And they are not temporal tears, they are gateways, portals between this world and infinite others.
Granted, perhaps I'm a bit oversimplifying. I mean, not like you wouldn't have known what I was going meaning anyway. Is But he says, my point is that how do you know this is not yet another dead end? With the last time the planets aligned, as it were, it ultimately didn't lead us very far. I mean, it,
If you want, you are free to leave.
oh no, no, I'm just merely pointing out that there's several considerable holes in this theory at the moment. It's just kind of, I'd be interested to see how you fill them in. And he just kind of smiles with like, what would what you've come to recognize as him being slightly passive aggressive, but also very just like he's sardonic and sarcastic. It's something you've kind of gotten used to with him. It wasn't useful you'd have left him by the road a long time ago, but just on the annoyance factor. He, from what you can tell, he needles at everybody around him. Your other companion, your Harak, being the sole exception of people who doesn't ever seem to be bothered. But then Harak doesn't really talk a lot himself anyway. Um,
Yeah, maybe we get a callback to all of those noir stories where Cyril just sighs and he's like, of all the people and all the times and all realities, you had to walk into mine.
he's kind of he goes, "Oh, that's so quaint. It sounds like it'd be I don't know. Uh, it sounds vaguely cinematic." And he does the whole thing with his hands, and he's like, "Oh, I could see it in lights now." And he's still following you, but he's just kind of riffing on this for a minute. And your contact that you're there to meet is a human by the name of God damn it.
Hello, goddammit! It is nice to
Right?
meet you. Your family must not have been very religious.
Sorry. A man named the name named Jackson Tenerat.
Oh, for a second I thought that was that lieutenant, but his name was Dawson. I heard the
No,
sum and I was like, oh shit.
no, no. Yeah, they set you up. You're here to meet somebody who has no reason to kill you whatsoever, but will when he finds out where you're going to land up. No, just kidding. He could read the future. No, um, you were sent here to meet a gentleman named Jackson Tenoret, and you kind of reach the point in the alleyway where they described that there was going to be a door for you to knock upon, but there doesn't seem to be here anything here. And as you're kind of like looking around, and Kellis continues to be a bit annoying in his sort of like narrating the follies and what he finds ridiculous about the whole situation. When you turn back around, you look at the side of one of the alleyways, and there is a door where you could swear there was not a door before.
Yeah, he probably actually like completely ignoring his compatriots' constant whining and commentary, just kind of waves his hand towards the door. As we see,
Uh,
like the magic takes the shape of like targeting reticules that home in on magical items.
and he's just like, he goes, ah, now we're getting somewhere. He is in, he, and he kind of does that thing. And he kind of does that thing where he kind of looks at you expectantly, like whether you're going to walk in first or order one of them to do something, or
Well, once I'm certain that the door is not just going to be some kind of magical trap, Serold would enter first.
Okay. Um, how are you going to determine if it's a magical trap?
Well, I use detect magic.
Okay. Well, it's clearly it. It seems to be hybrid
It's a hybrid.
effect. Um, it's kind of difficult to tell if it's what its components are. You feel some pull of magic, but it's not you know the strong reaction you get from a purely magical thing.
Hmm. Yeah, he probably considers this. I mean, the door wasn't there before, so obviously this might be some sort of illusory magic. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily something that he's going to be too concerned about stepping towards.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, you open the door and you go in, and there's a very dimly lit room. Like really, it's mostly shadows. There's some small light coming from some small diffuse light coming from a source that is completely unknown. You're finding in fact, it's not even clear what direction the source of light even lies in. Um, every time you turn around, it feels like the light is somewhat behind you, casting shadows in front of you, um, casting long, deep shadows because the light is again very dim and you know it's not particularly well defined. But there is a man sitting in a chair, and the chair is facing a wall,
Hmm.
and there's some markings on the wall.
Do these markings appear like a language, or do they appear more like mystical?
Would you like to give me some sort of check to see if you can get anything out of this?
Well, I would start with mysticism. That's my bread and butter as a paranormal investigator.
Well, with a 39, this is very clearly this is very clearly occultic. There are references here to a number of different old gods. There are references to there's also references to the Dominion of the Black. And you don't know much about the Dominion of the Black. You've only heard the name in whispers. It's seen it mentioned
I
on
can
dark
speak
boards.
Aklo.
Ah, so maybe okay. Well, maybe you do know a little bit more about the Dominion of the Black. But there's still not a lot known even there. You know that there's some sort of otherworldly power that is seeking to gain a larger foothold on Octurne. Um, but you're also kind of like mixed in with this are a few mixed in with this is like there's some of it's that's completely unreadable because as you look at it that there are blood splotches that sort of like that sort of obscure like a few of the symbols here and there.
Yeah, like as soon as he sees the blood spatters, what looks like just like a plate that's strapped onto his right thigh
Hmm.
actually clicks and opens up, and he pulls out a very well taken care of short barrel choked shotgun that maybe the camera catches it just right in the light, and it actually says Captain Zai Original on the grip right before he grabs it.
Ah, so you managed to pick up a Captain's eye weapon somewhere,
Not necessarily from this universe, but from a universe.
from from a universe somewhere. Yeah, there is. Seeing this like your lead, you realize that Harak has already disappeared into the shadows. In fact, you're not even entirely certain when he did that. Um, but you do, but like Killeth, for his part, does sort of like he takes a more defensive stance and he's got his hands out and poised in the ready to start casting some sort of spell or another. Nice. And do you?
Yeah, he
What is your
sort of
next?
he points to where he thinks Carrick should be, and then over towards the body and just says, "Body, dead. Not sure how long. Kareth, circle around right. I'll go around left."
All right. As you circle around the body, the two of you circle, or the three of you circle around. You find as you come around that this is the man that was described to you that you were looking for. He's also very dead, and it
Hmm.
looks like it was a pretty violent death. It looks like he was stabbed multiple times.
Huh. Yeah, he actually approaches the corpse and does the whole LA Noir thing. First he checks the face, turns the head a little bit, see if there's any obvious wounds to his face or the side of his head.
There is something. There appears to have been a hole drilled in the side of his head.
Does this look like a recent wound or something he's had for a while?
Uh, would you give me a medicine check?
Do I have something that could work for that? Do I have any medicine? Damn.
Caleb didn't put any points in medicine either.
I mean, I can try. But, he's also looking for things like how badly is blood pooling in the eyes? Stuff that would kind of be like, alright, how long has this guy been a corpse?
Well, medicine's one of those checks you can't use
Oh,
untrained. So,
whoops.
it's kind of hard to say at this point. The whole the he's been or he's sitting there, and as you're kind of inspecting the corpse, you hear a voice in your head. I'm afraid this lead. I'm afraid this they got to this lead before you did. That's unfortunate. You
Yeah,
are the bearer of questions.
he still has his. He's holding it pointed up in one hand, his gun, and we get that little look as his thumb slowly moves over and pulls back the hammer. And he's like, "Mm-hmm. And to who am I speaking?"
Do you turn and look?
Well, it's in his head. He doesn't know if it's coming from a specific direction, but he's
Oh,
definitely
that's true.
cocking the
He
hammer just in case.
goes, we've met before, or rather, we will meet before. Or perhaps that was a different you. He's like, I am Quevelith.
It is good to make your acquaintance, Quevelith, though it sounds like you are already familiar with me and my work. I,
Uh,
however, am not familiar with you or yours. Is this your handiwork?
Not mine. Others. Others with larger intentions. And he says, and he goes, You're, he says, you're looking for the source of the tears in reality.
Only by finding them might I find my way home.
You have a much bigger purpose to serve, perhaps, or maybe not. Either way, the information you need, I will lead you. He says, follow this. He says, follow this trail, and like there is a like buzzing sound in your comm or whatever, and there's a buzzing sound in your comm. This will put you on the path to ask the questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, he reaches into it. Like, only the one arm is visible since he's got this long poncho on, but reaches for his comm pad, pulls it up to look at it, see why it's buzzing at him.
On it, you see that your comm has been pulled to a dartboard that you have only been to a couple of times, and it's a dartboard called "The Truth Is a Ruse," and there is a singular post on there by a user, uh, called "I Saw It," and
So
you with an exclamation point, and you've seen this kind of shit before. This is clearly not this person's like permanent name, and maybe this person doesn't come here very often. Maybe they do, and this is just but the name I Saw It is just there as a placeholder for the most part, because the interesting part about this post is so the is talks about, well, the files on Triaxis will corroborate my story. I saw one. I saw one there, and he was connected to, and it was like, but they won't. He says, and it's like connected to someone you wouldn't even believe. It'll blow the mind. It'll blow the doors off of everyone's perceptions. And says, "But they'll never believe me. They'll never believe me. The files are buried deep in the on Triaxis." And he's like, "The law enforcement have the law." He says they can't have. He says they can't have scrubbed all the information, and that's about all of the post says. I mean, it's clearly um, this person is like, and the post is deleted almost as soon as you read it. Like it's almost like your eyes are deleting it as you read it, because the moment you read each word, it disappears off of the forum as if it's just being deleted word by word in real time as you read it.
yeah, he finishes reading it and just as quickly replaces his comm pad and still looking at these Aclonian runes. It's just like new lead, Triaxis.
Uh, oh, a whole planet to search. Goody, I'm so thrilled. This
No,
is good.
not entire planet. Have to get in contact with Triaxian authorities. Recent crimes, things they might want to scrub clean.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure they'll be incredibly helpful, just like the officers on Versis were. And and maybe and maybe that like triggers in you sort of like an annoyance because the authorities on Versis were not helpful at all.
Miscalculated which reality they would assist us in. Common mistake. Won't make again.
Yeah, he's like he kind of and this is the point where we cut over, and we cut over to Xander. Xander, you're essentially you've been looking for you've been on a foray, you know, corroborating, some of the data, the most recent data that has come out about new life forms on various planets and whatnot. In fact, you were just coming back from a survey into the Marixa Republic, a few of the worlds there, sort of like a fact finding mission for the university or what have you. However, ever since you've come back from you've like been traveling back from the Marixa Republic, you've been having a lot more trouble with the shuttle, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint down. Like you know what you're doing with this kind of stuff for the most part, but there's just something that's like there's a piece of the puzzle you're missing. It's not the shuttle is still flying for now, but it's kind of boggy and weird. In fact, you were kind of kicked out of the drift a tad bit early. You're actually not even in the packed worlds at this point. You have found yourself um, you have found yourself ridiculously off course because you found yourself in the Vescarium at this point. In fact, Vescaria like this is punctuated by a couple of Vescarium patrol ships, BMC Maulers probably that like kind of come flying up that you know hit on the communications. Unidentified vessel. State your purpose and send over your manifest and information. You have now entered the territory of the Vescarium. Repeat, send over manifest and all details. State your business, or you will be blown out of the sky.
Well, we can't have that. Okay, apparently my ship decided to drop me here. Punch a couple buttons and send them over the information on my initial pathway and where I came from, where I'm going, and what I'm doing for research purposes, and play all up to hell and show that the ship did this, not me.
Right on. Like, there's a pause as like you're fairly certain they're sort of like going over the information. And it's like you get back. You will follow us. We will escort you to Vesk Prime. There we'll figure out the authorities will figure out what to do with you.
10-4, following.
Yeah, they like you probably get a read that they have a weapons lock on you from the moment they saw you and do not let it off. But they're kind of flying with this. There's a it doesn't take long before you hit Vesk Prime, and it's it's a beautiful planet in its own right. There's quite a bit to it, but you find yourself being flown right into the capital to land. And as we get sort of like the cutscene of of your shuttle landing, and maybe like from the external view, as you sit, we make a jump cut to you in in the bridge, like struggling with the controls as as the power starts to fail and falter in various places. Um, and there is a you look out and you find that there is a contingent of vest soldiers um, on the landing pad waiting. There's a couple of Patra in there as well. Um, and it looks like a very excited Skittermander standing next to what
Yay.
appears to be the commander, um, very eagerly talking to him.
Oh boy, Commander, are we gonna get the bad guys? Are we gonna get the bad guys, Commander? Oh boy.
Yeah, and they're like, disembark your ship now.
Yeah, I'd shut everything down on this ship that as landing procedures, protocol, and step out and put hands up and be like, "Hey, what's up, all?"
And he looks at you for a minute and he goes, Uh, mm, he says, he looks at you and goes, synthetics. He's like, well, there's one of them that looks relatively annoyed by this. I am Major Sarkaz. They call me the they call me the doorbuster. He says, I will be escorting you to I will be escorting you to the Packed World's embassy. And the Skittermander at his side is like, he's like, ooh, ooh, Android. Oh, wow, wow, I've never seen one of those before. Are they really just as, oh, hey, is it true that you can think 10 times faster than a normal person? Is it true that is it true that you don't have any feelings? Is it true that and like maybe Major Sarkaz turns around, looks at him, and glares at him for a minute, and of course, Skittermander mostly is just completely oblivious until like oblivious for a second more before he realizes you're the only one that like that seems to be making any noise, and realizes it's that thing where like when you realize everyone's looking at you and not in a good way is kind of the thing. He looks around and he's like, oh, questions later, I guess. I got all kinds of questions, all kinds of questions, and he goes, but they don't, yeah, no. And Major Sarkaz is like, he says, follow me. And he goes, your manifest says you were out in the Marixa Republic. And he says this last, like, the Marixa Republic. There's a snort of like derision in there somewhere in the subtext. Like he's fairly derisive of this place.
To all their own opinions.
It was, where's your security team? Did you not take a security escort with you? I mean, not that you'd need to, the Marixa Republic.
Yeah, I don't need security for research purposes.
This actually draws a round of laughter from your Vesk entourage. Yeah, no need for security protocols. That's good. Wow. Who says androids don't have a sense of humor? Major Sarkaz kind of puts an end to it. He's like, it's enough of that. You're on duty, gentlemen. And they kind of like stiffen their upper lip and straighten their posture a little bit. He's like, uh, it's a bit of a march, and yeah, there are predominantly, as you walk through here, there's predominantly Vesk. This is their homeworld, but there's some Skittermanders running around that look like they're on various errands or what have you. There's a few Patra making their way around. And there's also the squid-like edged tikris, a few of them, bouncing about here and there. Strangely, you kind of didn't expect to see this, but but it's one of those that in retrospect makes a little bit of a sense. You see several isekai here too, and you're like, at first you're like, what are they? Oh wait, they do kind of like integrate themselves everywhere. So, but it's one of those where you're like, huh. It's like, we'll need to debrief you on we'll need to debrief you, find out what you've seen in what you may know about the Marixa Republic and the Girderon Authority. And he says, but you get to the consulate, the embassy, and what have you. And he's like, we'll be back to talk to you. He says, we'll be in touch. So,
Ignore it.
I was gonna say, wait,
Because my
dice roll, and I'm like, what?
No, that's why I said ignore it, because somebody in my stream asked me to roll the die.
Oh, okay.
So,
Um,
don't listen
Maybe
to that.
if you read chat, Jesta.
God, Jesta.
I'm kind of
Also,
busy being the GM here. All right.
Also, I'm not drinking right now, but I'm slurring like a bitch because of these fangs.
Wow. And so yeah, he's got this uh but yeah, he's kind of dropped you off at like the embassy. Um and let's see.
That was an interesting individual. Fun to remember.
Let's see. Uh and
Okay,
yeah,
so who do I talk to in here?
all right, well, you go into the embassy then. So Um, looking around, it's a little slice of home. It's slightly less militaristic than what you've kind of gone through. It's not quite as austere, as it were, as you went through to get here. And there's a human that is walking out to greet you. He's walking out. He goes, ah. He goes, a university on Castrovel. He goes, it's uh, Xander, right? Researcher Xander. And yes, he goes, it's good to meet you and make your acquaintance. I am Representative Elliot Special Envoy Elliot Togan. He says, um, he says, we've got quarters already ready and set up for you. They did send word ahead. Whatever you want to say about the Vescarium, they are at least organized. And it says, sure, it's been very uh, a very trying journey making your way here, a bit unexpected. It's like oh, we've got you might want to I'll help you arrange transport back. We've got technicians looking at the shuttle. I'm not sure when they'll be done with it, but I'll help you arrange transport back to the Pact Worlds. But it'll probably take a day or so. While you're here, I suppose you don't get into too much trouble, but check out the local entertainment. Oh, and if you're just hankering for a little bit of the Pact Worlds, I understand the Keepers of the Secret are here and going to be doing a concert tonight. He's like, he says, I can get you tickets if you'd like to go.
That could be entertaining. I might want to partake. Yes.
Like, not entirely certain how a Vesk audience is going to take them, but they did book them, so must be some interest in them. And personally, um, I think their first album was probably their best. I don't think they've been as good since, but you know how it goes. Mm, they've got a new album coming out. Maybe it'll be better. Maybe it'll be a good one.
Each album is different with a group of how they're progressive through their talent, and some of them are good, some of them are greater. You never know. It just depends on where the artist is at, I guess.
It's like, oh, almost forgot. Um, would you like for me to arrange for a message to be sent back to the university?
Yes, definitely. Have them send back details of the snafu of this ship and let them know that I'm kind of off schedule slightly from the original arrangement so that they don't get worried or something. I don't know.
He kind of he kind of nods and he goes, and there's this moment where it's like, oh, yep, he's uh, definitely one of those professorial types that just tends to forget details, and he's kind of has that sort of deal. He's like, And he's like, "All right, well, I will have tickets to the concert waiting for you in your room. You're," uh, he says, and he hands you like a little data pad. He says, "And you might want to peruse this. It's sort of a traveler's handbook for the Vescarium. It's got all the little rules and regulations you're going to want to make sure you pay attention to, so you don't get arrested or have a diplomatic incident. Uh, it's also got details on tourist spots. The kind of thing that you might want to places you might want to go, et cetera, et cetera. Is uh, sort of a nice little handy guidebook."
Yeah, that'll be something I'll be looking into deeply and taking careful notes of everything. That is good information.
Yeah, there's a great deal in it about like Vesk etiquette. Um, and there's like an outsider's view on it that like there's a lot of shit on that like Vesk. Yeah. Um, if you are challenged, the worst thing you can do is to back down. Also, the other worst thing you can do is to try to actually fight. The consulate recommends that you appear to stand your ground, but not push the issue too far, just enough that they respect you. But and they forewarn that this is a bit of a dangerous game to play. Traveling in the Veskarium, if you're not a Vesk and don't understand the culture, can be challenging. uh, yeah, and maybe like what is your first order of business post uh Elliot Togan? Are you gonna go check out your room first, check out some tourist spots, deep dive into the handbook, um what find
Yeah,
something to eat?
so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the data pad and go to the room, make sure everything's in order for how I'm gonna be for however long it's gonna be, but it has to be in its place. And then I'm gonna sit down with the data pad and actually go through all of it and you know update notes on the whole vest thing for the books.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So you're kind of like, hmm, information must absorb. All right. Cool. And I am going to jump over here to Vesa. So we get a jump cut over to Vesa, and let's get a physical description of what Vesa looks like.
Okay. Vesa is a Lashunta, and she's got like light green skin and cute little antenna on her head that are, I don't know, 7, 8 inches long. And she's dressed in uh, teal and purple and silver armor, but she's
Mhm.
also wearing a trench coat that is similar to the what her armor is. Like it's all one big package. And she's hooded and generally trying to stay in the shadows.
Okay.
But she's pretty
Yeah.
cute.
Right on. Well, your companion as you walk down, as you walk along, is far less inconspicuous than you. Pluiga is a skittermander who is the color whose coloration can only be best described as a electric amethyst kind of color to his fur, um, and sort of more sapphire looking eyes. And he rides a bug that is probably about the size of a wolf and looks something like a cross between a wasp and a dragonfly, or a wasp and a mayfly, somewhere like that. That just is kind of buzzing along. And he's like, and while you're being inconspicuous, Pluiga is anything but, and is apparently oblivious to your attempt to be inconspicuous. And he's like, and he's like, Oh man, he says, I can't believe it. This is the first time they've any. You know how long it's been. The Veskarium has been able to. They've not been able to book a single act from the Pact Worlds until now, and that's because the powers that be they don't want anybody in here to influence, and they think it's too chaotic and too messy, and they didn't
Pluiga,
want to. But it's going to be, yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
trying. We're trying so hard to not be noticed, and you're
But
so chatty.
he's like, but why? But why, man? I mean, it's a. I mean, we're. I mean, have you've never been to Vesk Prime? Oh,
No,
and I thought you'd been everywhere.
I mean, that is the airs that I put on, but I haven't been here yet. I don't know the
Well,
people. I'm not ready.
oh no, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just stick with me, kid. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic, man. You know, my you know, my parents big deal in the in the bureaucracy, right? Like
Uh-huh.
they're in charge of they're in charge of public affairs uh public affairs for the entire for the entire southern continent, right? I mean they do this thing like they help the I mean they're not in charge. I mean they're charge of the public affairs and they
Mhm.
assist the guy that's actually in charge, but you know what I mean. I mean I've nobody's gonna mess with us. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. I mean, what are they gonna do?
Um,
They're gonna mess with me and risk
okay.
some political fallout. I mean, the boss, he really their boss, he really likes them.
Okay. I'm here for it. Sure.
He's just like,
Sure.
you've known Pluiga for, well, in terms of a socialite, a long time,
Mhm.
but really it's probably only been about a month, maybe.
Mhm.
I know for, but he's you met him at
Mhm.
an official uh, party like that your parents had forced you to attend before you decided you were going to go off and go running around.
Sure.
And you know, Pluiga was sort of the same similar thing. He
Mhm.
was there for an official function too, but he was just looking for fun. You were the only two people there that were like, "Let's not do business. Let's go have fun."
Yeah. Totally. That's
Yeah,
how we live our life. We can do that. We're, you know, super
yeah.
special that way.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. But you do see something as you're walking along that strikes you as a bit odd for the particularly. I mean, you don't know a lot about the Veskarium,
Mhm.
but you, as far as you knew, they didn't have a lot of like androids with the human bioform walking around here. But you see one that's clearly being marched with an escort. With an escort and another skittermander that's with them, and a some commander that's in the lead. And they are heading towards the Pact World's like embassy and and it's like, ooh, official. That looks official. Because what do you think? Got to be official, right? Right? I mean, pack worlds people don't really come here for tourism which is a shame. I mean, there's some really nice places around here. I mean, uh, you should go to the Ijtikri's home planet. It's really nice there.
Okay. I we could try that. Sure. We could try that. And she like kind of pulls her hood just a little bit lower. Just you could tell she's like uncomfortable but trying not to be conspicuously uncomfortable.
Right?
She's just trying to hold her shit together.
Right. And this is made much harder by the fact that every time you walk by a Vesk, you're sure they're just looking down at you like
Mhm.
they're hungry or something.
Mhm.
I mean, they're not, but but they may only be looking at you like oh, Pact Worlds person here. Hmm.
Mhm.
but but maybe it feels to you like, because the Vesk have this notorious reputation as warriors and conquerors and mercenaries and just, you know, overall tough but not exactly nice kind of
Yeah,
reputation.
sure.
So, you know, but they're like, he's kind of like, I wonder if they, he's like, I wonder what they're here for. And you're just kind of watching this android walk away, walk by. It's like, being marched by. I mean, what do you think? It doesn't look like a diplomat. What do you think? And I'll take a bet right now. I bet he's a spice merchant.
Ooh. Ooh. You want to go meet him?
You're on. Well, I mean, he's headed for the consulate, right?
Right.
Uh, how hard can it be? I mean, you're from the pack worlds. I mean, they're very, and I'm important, right? He's just
Yeah, you're so important. You're the
he's
most
like
important.
she's like, but you're important too. You know who's important? You're important. Because
I
you know
really
why?
like this. This is great.
he's like he's like "Hey, you're important because you're important to me and you're important to your parents and you're important to your world and your people. We're important. He's
I
just
mean, my mom likes me, okay? So, sure.
Jesus
Sure.
Christ, I want this guy as my hype man.
I
Right.
don't know.
Like
I'm not really
IRL.
sure it's gonna be okay with all
He's
of
my
this
best friend, damn it.
conversation.
Wiley's my best friend. All right, fine. Do you want to go figure out if he's a spice merchant? Do you want to go figure it out?
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, you go. I'll stay here.
Wait, no, you got to come with me. I mean,
No.
that's part of the deal.
No.
I mean, how are you gonna know if I'm right or not? I mean, all you're gonna have is my word. I mean, I could probably be telling you a lie and say, hey, you owe me 20 credits. He's a spice merchant. And then what if he's not a spice merchant and I didn't tell you that?
Okay, well, you know what? I'll make the deal. Here, let's make a deal. If he is a spice merchant, I will give you 20 credits. If he is not a spice merchant, I need you to shut the hell up for like 45 and I will go with you, but I'm not going to talk to this dude. I got no reason to talk to this dude.
I can fucking breathe over here.
He's
I
like,
love you. Do you want to do this?
he's like, he's like, he's like, he just kind of looks at you. He's like, fine, you win. Maybe let's just go get something to eat and we'll go to the concert.
Oh my god, thank you. Jeez.
he's like, so picky.
Just, everything's a little messy right now. It's fine.
He's like, hey, you know what? I wasn't the one that told that transport captain that his shoes didn't match his outfit. He says, that wasn't me.
I can't
Just
help
saying.
it. It was hideous. He needed to know. Jeez. Like, what do you expect of me? Nothing less, I would hope.
Well, I mean, you do have a good sense of style. And maybe we as you guys are going off to get some food, that we kind of trail off on this.
Hmm.
And we're gonna come in on on a small plant person.
Hey.
Let's get a physical description of merch.
Okay. Merch, or Dr. Dishborg, as he is called in the professional world. The professional where he doesn't make much money, professional world. He is about maybe 12 inches in a foot, so he's probably about 9 or 10 inches tall.
He's an action figure.
Huh?
He's an action figure.
Yeah. He's a little bit under a foot. He has a white lab coat on, right? With and he's got a black cap on top of his head that has a hole that has these sprouting little wildflowers on them. His head is essentially a radish,
So we can cook him.
He's got like kind of yellow eyes. Like I said, he's clad in like a lab coat and like some like nice like a button-up shirt and slacks, and black shoes underneath. He has this backpack that has these big wiry, strandy arms. And he is riding on a tread.
You
Huh?
You were cutting up real bad for me.
We're
Is
losing
he
your
cutting up for
transmission.
anybody else?
Well, I was
Hold
gonna
on.
say, I
Everybody
got
is fine.
Steve King.
Discord.
Everybody is.
Oh.
It's Discord.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
It doesn't sound
Oh my
great.
god, Discord.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, there we
So
go. I'm back
where
to
did you
90%.
guys? What did you guys concretely hear?
You said he had a backpack for his applesauce and it had stringy little arms or something like that.
Yeah, you heard everything before that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, that's yeah, he's wearing like I said, like a button-up shirt, slacks, black shoes, and he is riding on a medium-sized mule drone, with like treads for the legs. Yeah, that's the description of him.
All right, yeah. And maybe you're sort of like waiting. We catch Merch sort of waiting. Is he waiting patiently or impatiently?
Very patiently. He
Okay.
is nearly stock still. The only thing you can see moving is his eyes as he's reading over like a medical journal.
Yeah, and maybe we see like the walls of a building, like they're sort of like it's an indoor corridor somewhere. It's not particularly well lit. I mean, it's clearly a place where there has been a lot less, where there's been a lot less maintenance going on and what have you. And as you're sort of like waiting, and
Mhm.
the light flickering in the background is just like is slightly a bit annoying. It's one of those things where it's a maintenance issue. Somebody should have replaced this by now, but hasn't.
Yeah.
Clearly, they don't care here about this part. And we hear a door open and close behind you, and we see a drow elf woman with a nurse's outfit on come out, and she looks around. She looks around and then looks over at Merch and says, "Doctor, it's taken care of. It will." He says they will have a hard time discerning we were ever here, but it does leave us very few options. We need to leave.
And he like pauses and thinks for about 5 seconds and says, "Excellent work, nurse. I believe that I'm going to have to activate my new plan. This is a little early on the timetable, so."
Yes, doctor. I believe the transport we arranged for is ready and waiting whenever you are at your convenience.
Have my things been loaded onto it already?
What we could get past customs and security, yes.
Excellent. I shall have to find the reagents that I need at the next location, but this shall work for now.
The-
Come. Oh, go ahead.
Unfortunately, we were not able to sneak the specimen past security.
This is frustrating, but we can always find another. There are always more participants.
Indeed. Yeah, as you say, doctor. And she kind of waits there, and she's got a kit with her too, but her kit is a bit different from yours.
Right.
Nurse Jerktazil has been your apprentice, but she's so much more than that. She's an expert at cleaning a crime scene. She's part of the reason you haven't gotten caught as to yet. You know, she's not nearly as good of a doctor as you are, but She can clean a crime scene, and she's more competent than most of the other nurses that you've tried to take on as assistants, and seems to have far fewer morals than most of them too.
Excellent.
Um, Willing to do basically whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at her and I go, well, this is troubling in the short run. I'm sure that in the next few months or hell, even next few weeks, we should settle in quite snugly. Yes?
And as you say,
Well, I believe it appears that we have a vacation to go on and new friends to make. Please, let us abscond to our nearest location of egress. And yeah, we start heading off to the transport.
all right, yeah, and the transport, as it were, in this case, is actually a shuttle. This was a shuttle you got that was arranged beforehand through intermediary contacts, and its pilot, Pyrest, is already on board. And as you like board the shuttle, she looks back over at you. She's in a freet,
Mm-hmm.
and she is one of the Ifrit that you have seen wandering around here. You don't know a whole hell of a lot about her, other than the fact that she's got blazing orange hair, her skin is yellow, and she's wearing, well, a flight gear. That honestly looks a bit steampunk. Has kind of a steampunk ethic to it. And she
Sure.
dresses in flaming colors, just like, matching with her skin and hair and eye to, and whatnot. It's like, it's like, all right, now that you're on board, we can get the fuck out of here. She's like, everybody ready to go? Are we going to fasten in our seat belts and get all nice and comfy? So where to? What's the destination?
Oh, I'm surprised that no one debriefed you beforehand. We are going to these specific coordinates, and the reason of their significance is on a strictly need-to-know basis.
Right. Your credits. It says your credits, but fair warning. Your credits, but fair warning. Um, if it's if you think if you've got me walking into some kind of trap or trouble, the fee goes up. Just saying,
Understood.
if there's any complications, I'm worth a hell of a lot more.
Madam, what would be your definition of walking into trouble?
Oh, I don't know. Anything that's going to get me arrested, anything that's going to get me shot, anything that's going to get me killed or polymorphed into something I don't want to be. Those sorts of general things. Getting abducted by aliens. Ooh.
He has a completely blank face at her, like, little getting abducted by aliens. He says, I suppose that extra credits should be wired to your account. Nurse, see to it that the backup fund also goes in the agreed upon amount for hazard pay for illegal activity.
Yes, doctor. And she pulls out a data pad and starts touching back and forth on it. You should beep 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 beep. There's a and sh- and and Pyrest looks at you and goes, "All right, well, then let's be off." Then she's like, it might take a couple of days to get there, but we'll get there nice and sound."
Sounds perfectly fine to me. If there are any complications, do not hesitate to contact my nurse. I shall be in my quarters. And he brings up the medical journal he was reading before. Once again, just begins reading it as his mule drone just slowly rolls back to where his room is.
Nice.
He's so
Alright.
tiny.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now we're gonna cut over to.
Super mini me.
Well, we're gonna cut over to the Fire Shrike. In fact, we're not just gonna cut back to the Fire Shrike, any old cut back. We're actually gonna do a way back back cut. We're gonna Tarantino this shit. We're gonna have a flashback, and it's going to involve the Commodore, who needs to unmute himself because I can hear him shouting in the other room, but he hasn't come through yet. Nope, still not hearing you.
Did he break it again?
Is he gonna have to be on his phone?
I don't know. Nope. Still not hearing you, man.
So anyways, so I was saying to Mabel, I says,
Alright. You may have dropped out to drop back in.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
There you go. There we are.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I was muted, but if this works, so be it.
Yeah, we do we get a flashback here. Maybe on the title card says just after it says something about like so many hours after the battle above planet Xi, and however many hours. It's what was it, like a couple hours or something. And then we see Captain Xi walk into his room, and there is a gray standing there.
Fire now. What are you doing in my room? There's still protocols for this, even squishy new limits.
He goes, limits. He goes, so I have determined that there is a higher. He goes, limits. It's interesting that you bring up the term, the concept of limits. According to my calculations, there is a fairly large probability that in this one, that the question, that you are not the one who asked the question, but the facilitator of the question, this question being asked. We are in a loop. Or at least you are. Some of us are. Parts of us are. It's a little difficult to explain. You are about to embark upon a journey that will take you to your roots. You will find someone that does have the questions. You will facilitate the asking. They will know the location of something you've been looking for the better part of a year. And like you recognize this gray. This is the same gray that showed up when you were looking for that lost captain
Yeah,
in
the big
Planet
guy.
of Traps. It was like,
Still. On.
he says they will. He says you will know him because he will know. You will know him because you will have an answer that you've been looking for. And there's a moment where it almost feels like there might be something more, and then he's like, but the gray kind of stops short and is like, and says, there are far more things going on. It says, everything you know, everything you have experienced, has not been what you thought it was. You will understand.
Glad you believe so.
And he says, until such time, continue on with what it is that you are doing. I see no reason to interrupt the journey that you are about to take. And he kind of like looks at you, he goes, I will see you again after. And then there's a flash of light and he's gone. Or they are gone. Because, we're not entirely certain if they have gender. And then we flash forward to the present on the ship. And I think what I'm going to start here real quick with Shaba, as you have been watching, as you have been back on on board and you've been kind of like around, you obviously have seen like the political situation on the planet, like this sort of like detente that's kind of that has been needing to happen, this sort of like um uh situation as far as trying to settle everyone. But you've also noticed quite a bit around the ship because a lot of shit has changed since you were last here. And a lot of shit changed right before your eyes very recently. And you only have for your intelligence division at this point Vector and Twinkle assigned, Nurx as an unofficial advisor, Qualu as the former head of, and you're kind of not entirely certain. And as you're kind of looking through, like maybe we catch you as you're going through files, like kind of trying to catch up. There are files on some of the people that you've picked up so far, including one lady Sonnet. And from what you've seen, the orc is an orc. He does what orcs do. He fights things, he shoots things, he hits things, and
It's
that's
kind of
kind of
racist, Chester.
He is that kind of orc.
he's that kind of orc.
He
Not to
me
say that
am
he's
that kind of orc.
not to say that he's either stupid or difficult to get along with. It's just very clear where his skills lie. Lady Sonnet, on the other hand, you would probably pick up on the fact that in her dossier, what's noted about her is that she seems to have the skills of an assassin or somebody who would make a good assassin. And in fact, you've been noticing something lately, and maybe this is something that you recall recently happening, that for whatever reason, Lady Sonnet seems to just be shadowing Nurx, which you know is a difficult thing to begin with. And Nurx catches her often enough, but there are just as many times, and to emphasize this point, we cut to um, a scene in the mess hall where like Ashira, you and Nurx are sitting there talking, and and like Nurx turns around and Lady Sonnet is right there, and she's like, "Oh fuck me! What the hell is wrong with you? If it's not fucking Bucket, it's you. The fuck isn't even following me. Get the. You want to go
Practice regular breathing.
You want to go, Spooky Pants? You want to go? You want to go? Let's do this. Come on, Spooky
Please
Pants.
restrain
Slowly,
volume
I
of
just move my
voice.
hand to the top of Nurx's head, push her
Now
back.
playing.
Yeah, you know damn well that
And I
Nurx in
give
her
her
state
a
of
blast.
mind might attack her. You've been being friends with Nurx realize that she is super fucking on edge and frustrated with the fact that like she sneaks away from Bucket regularly because she has the skills to do that. But it's annoying the shit out of her because the Lady Sonnet annoys the shit out of her because she never actually explains a single thing. She just appears sometimes and occasionally follows Nurx around. Never explained a goddamn thing. And you do notice out of the corner of your eye, like until you put like that brief moment when you're stepping in to push Nurx aside, as soon as like Nurx is like, "You want to go, Spooky Pants?" You see like Lady Sonnet start to extend a bone blade out of her like her arm, but as soon as you push Nurks away, she retracts it. Go to push Nurks out of the way, she retracts it. She never explains, and she doesn't really explain any of it. She just simply walks out the door.
Ow, the
And
edge.
yeah, exactly. She just walks out the door, and Nurks is like, I don't know what the fuck her problem is.
As like gently the girl from Ipanema is playing in the background from Bucket.
Bucket.
What the fuck?
It's excellent right there.
Bucket, stop.
Bucket ain't never gonna stop. This was Slef's last thing. He wanted Bucket to always annoy
No, wait,
Nurks.
before I go
and
real
also
quick.
calm down.
Before I go real quick, as soon as she says, Bucket, stop, he turns to look at her and goes, you do not tell me what to do. You are not my real dad.
No. Bucket would probably respond to Bucket,
You're
stop
not my dad.
stopping playing track. And just like stops and is dead silent.
Oh, I like the idea that because his engineer isn't around anymore, he's just a rebellious little shit now.
Well, he's only a limited AI, so
Fuck
you know.
you, I won't do what you tell me.
Nothing that
God.
a little explosion can't handle.
Hey, you break Bucket, you never get Bucket back.
Hey, Ashira can come up with a leash.
Yeah, so like what is like you know, Shaba, as you're looking through the like sort of protocols and the files, you also note that that Scramjet surprisingly seems to have like in Nahir's like reports, like training reports from the Hollow Entertainment, the Hollow training, that Scramjet's proven to be fairly stealthy at times too. Has been, although your understanding of him coming back on the ship is basically whatever the crew has told you about Scramjet, which I don't know what that is. I can't tell you that because they have to tell you that.
He's sneaky because no one looks that far down.
He is a halfling.
The racist halfling at that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mostly, what was it? Mostly SROs? Is that what he was complaining about?
Well, he was mostly complaining about Vector being so secretive in the tech lab and thought maybe he was up to something nefarious and was worried because there were several SROs on and he's watched too many sci-fi movies. But he did throw in a backhanded comment about Glycel living things kind of slimy sometimes.
I had no comment for that one.
But
And Glycel cleans up after himself. It was like that in prison too.
yeah, you are aware that of like the new members too, Glycel and Elgas. Did Elgas stay with the crew, or is he kind of residing on planet Xi right now?
He's residing on planet Xi.
Okay,
Oh, so now I need a fucking engineer. Okay.
that's right.
Call
He's
him.
gonna always have the doctor.
I'll guess. I'm okay with this. I love you. Goodbye. Like, you don't even get to say nothing.
He probably wouldn't have. He'd rather than goodbye. You only made yourself sad.
So, yeah, you're kind of. What is your? Let's see. Who else did you guys get along there? Next, Kivo and Tixpit are clearly soldiers. Well, Tixpit is clearly a soldier. Next, Kivo is a Solarian. Which, by the way, Commodore, he's been following you around. Because
it's his new job.
Yeah,
it's my new bodyguard, guys. Nahir is now MIA.
Oh, sad face.
You want to say something
KIA?
to the Twitch fans out there, Lulu? No?
It's a sad face.
I'm sorry, what did I just hear?
Here, Lulu, say something to the Twitch fans. No?
Oh,
Who say something to
It's the
Twitch fans?
cat. Sorry.
Are you? Is this your cat?
Oh,
Oh my god, I want to see your cat.
Okay. So confused.
It's the cat. I'm sorry.
Nothing like a cat to derail a Twitch stream, eh?
Yeah, there you go. It happens quite often, strangely.
Yeah. Can't complain though. Cats are pretty cool.
Yeah, right on. The yeah, so uh and you have yet to you haven't had a chance to have a sit down with Nurx while she's, coherent
Sober.
or Qualu. You are, however, the only one who can get into Nahir's security files because you're the one who encrypted them.
Right, that's correct.
You're the only one who can get into Nahir's most secure security files because you're the one who encrypted them in the first place because you're the only one he trusted to do that.
I guess I have to start reading those from where I last left off with it.
So you get the impression that one, Nahir quite adamant that the biggest danger to the ship was probably Slef. But he did have, he mentioned that Tixbit needs a bit of, needs a little bit of oversight in terms of because he's put down some personal notes Tixbit doesn't really understand personal space all that well. I mean, he understands if he stands too close to Ashira, she'll hit him. But Rek has turned into a fine officer, although his moral compass does seem to be at odds with a lot of what the ship does. Nahir has maintained that. You do also find that Nahir did have detailed protocols on how to take down and how various detailed protocols on how he would try to take down and kill any member of the crew that went rogue.
Yes, Batman.
Yeah,
I was
he
about to say
totally
Batman effect.
Does he have one for himself?
Actually, oddly, I think that's a contingency that he probably left up to Zai.
Did he have one for Zai?
Does it just say Justice League?
No, it does not say Justice League. Does he have a plan for if Zai went rogue?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, actually, he does.
I had a plan for if Nahir went rogue.
Yeah. No, he had. Particularly after some of the shit that he saw, with the clones and stuff, after and it's pretty much dated after the revelation of the clone situation, that if Captain Zai turned out to be a clone and was replaced and he had to take him down, this is how he'd do it.
Did he have time to make one for Twinkle?
He always has time for shit like that, yes. He always has time to come up with a plan on how he would take anyone down if they were a threat to the ship.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be very hard. It would be probably something along the lines of plug filtration system and add rat poison.
But from what you understand, of the security files, there was a period where, and this is something that you're just, unless the rest of the crew told you about, this is a period that you're starting to get to know through Nahir's notes, that Ezzy and Ashira were replaced by clones for a very long time, and they thought Ashira, the Ashira that they saw die was not the real Ashira; it was a clone, and that the Ezzy that was with them was a clone. That Captain Zai spent time in a podunk prison somewhere and was for several months, and that the crew of the Fire Shrike was generally split to the winds and took several months for them to regather together, in which time Slef had been missing, and as far as I know, never volunteered information as to what he was doing with that time that he was away from the rest of the crew.
Nope.
That 6 months.
Nah, he never told anyone.
Which is also a note of concern in Nahir's notes. You find out that they that they met someone, or that they met an Arturo Aramal III, that they strengthened their relationship with Bettina Clemlin, and that for a very brief period of time, well, and for 6 months, while you were imprisoned and Zai was missing, Nahir was the effective captain of the Fire Shrike, and Ezzy was the effective captain of the Spitfire. Until everybody.
So many terrorist attacks were done with the
Yes.
Spitfire. So many
Yep.
terrorist attacks. It's a good
There's
thing
a
we
log.
don't have that ship anymore.
Yeah, there's logs of this stuff. There are logs of this, where there were very clearly and very definitely terroristic attacks that have been done with this
Like
ship.
you think accidentally bombing a Doctors Without Borders clinic is one thing. We did that times 10.
Slef developed a really, really, really high-tech rocket launcher. You find that out. And there's a lot to do in there with, there's a lot of mention of someone named Lysin. Well, you actually have heard the name come up before. At this point, this is past the funeral. You're kind of getting a little bit more detail as to who Lysin was. Yeah, she kind of that thing where like, oh, that's who that was. she she was a pilot and a soldier and acquitted herself quite well until the end. You know, you do like find that there are training logs where Nahir considered her one of the more dangerous security ops in the on the Shrike, security team members. There's not a lot on Next Kivo other than performance reports. There's not a lot on Whistle Fizz. There's plenty of reports on him, but that's mostly engineering and what have you. But you're kind of getting caught up to the whole thing. The ins and outs, the fact that they have a stronger relationship with Neverwhere, and that they have met someone named Chunder Bucket Charlie, which you've probably heard of at this point. He's a famous space pirate. Was and is rumored to still be a part of the Free Captain's Council. He's famous enough that even the Veskarium respects him. Strangely. But you're kind of looking at your list. There are a couple of people who have skills that would be useful in the intelligence division. Qualu, of course, qualifies, but didn't you make him head of security, or did you make? Yeah, but he's been moved to head of security. As far
It's not like
as,
he can't multitask.
no, this is true.
And Rek would be an excellent backup. And only moral compass on the whole ship.
Yeah, true.
What's a moral compass?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I think it detects alignment.
Yeah, I
It
don't.
helps if you get lost in a sea of someone's bullshit.
Oh Lord. Kind of.
I think most of us have pawned them on, the intranet, the extranet.
I don't think Serald was born with one.
Oh.
Well, his mother preemptively sold his for, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. What is his alignment? I've actually forgotten.
No, wow. Kind of an important thing to know.
Chaotic good. He's got... But yeah, that means he pawned it off. Chaotic good. Laws are for chumps.
But not ethics.
I love it.
But yeah, you could. Nurx definitely has the skill set, and in fact, she was the acting head of intelligence operations before Qualu was, during the 6 months where Captain Zai was in prison.
He hates it, by the way.
There's a lot to think of.
Yeah.
Well, I guess first thing she'd probably do is those kill protocols, she's going to double encrypt it.
You should double encrypt that shit.
And they will
Nobody needs to
update it
know how.
occasionally.
Yeah, nobody needs to know how Nahir was going to kill them.
Don't forget to remove the well.
I was going to
remove the
say,
just left one.
to mine and with, and then remove the head from the body.
Right on. So going through Nahir's security notes, how much of these are you going to release to Qualo, since he's technically the head of security at this point?
They will be on a need-to-know basis.
Need-to-know basis. Nice.
We
Yeah.
part of the proletariat.
Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. There's one more person that has skill sets that would be useful for intelligence gathering. Her name happens to be Ashira, because you know she's a par excellent hacker.
Of course.
I'm not even sure why she got taken off the list in the first place. Oh, because we made her captain and she hated it.
That's right.
Yeah, rude.
Don't promote me, damn it.
No, it's totally fine. But
Oh, well,
I do prefer when people like my hacking skills. I like my hacking skills.
You can be a captain and a hacker.
No
It's
shot of
possible.
respect.
Why can't I be
Hacking.
both?
No.
I can be both, damn it.
So,
Also, I'm going to see how many new backdoors are in the system.
well, give me a computers check here.
Great point, Brian.
I don't know.
Oh,
Oh,
Damn.
natural 20.
Rip.
There is only one outside of any you might have created at this point. Nurx, when she was the head of security, went through and sealed up everybody's back doors except her own.
Sounds awkward.
That sounds inappropriate.
Inappropriate.
I don't know. With a little bit of wine and some cheese, it might be okay.
No.
Yeah, you never know.
Or no.
We'll never know.
Really what she did is she made you eat like Kasathan spicy tacos.
Ew.
That way when you farted, your ass sealed shut.
Seal hell, it'll blow it out.
Arc wall from the inside.
Oh,
No,
God.
it blew it out first, but when the cheeks came back together, they sealed like a heat seal.
Right, now I
Oh,
can't-
stop.
Oh,
That sounds awful. That sounds
this is
terrible.
like it's also
Stream-
have no buttocks.
Stream,
Ew,
I would
God,
like
how
to
do you-
apologize. I'd like to
Canceled.
apologize for our DM's misgivings here. We'll move on with the program now.
Can
I
I
If
was about to
I don't-
say, oh yeah, I haven't made any backdoors yet.
If I don't say
Fantastic.
something if I don't say something that's just a little bit off for it, as far as everybody's concerned, you guys will wonder if I deserve to be your GM. All right, so yeah, so you're going through the computer stuff. Twinkle, what is
Mhm.
Twinkle doing here?
Remind
What
me.
is-
We are on the Blue Ember.
Or
yeah, unless you've been reassigned.
remember 2.0, I believe.
I don't think I've been reassigned. I didn't ask to. I wouldn't have asked
We
you.
haven't done reassignments yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't.
You're still new. I'd want to keep you close.
So he's probably actually running through his contacts, trying to build himself a little network,
Right on. Cool.
trying to get a hold of a little bit of information that you can trade here for some information there, things like that.
Right on. I'm trying to kind of just and one thing you're finding out is among the refugees and the Strix and the other refugees, the terrorist refugees. One thing you're finding out is that there are smugglers among this group. I mean, in addition to the folks that are just sort of that with permission, are flying up into the remnants of the battle and taking salvage back to build shit with. There are people who are actually acquiring loose goods out of the mix and not really necessarily advertising the fact that they're doing that to Zai or even leaders of their own factions. There is a smuggler culture on this planet already.
That's fine. As long as we can control it. And so we're just gathering names. Not going to do anything with it right now. We know Zai is going to learn about him because Zai knows everything that everyone else knows.
Well, and there's
You spent a lot of credits to pry into your brains that hard. I mean, I don't.
I mean,
well, and I would imagine that probably this means you would probably tighten your relationship with Isig, the tiefling sort of criminal contact you guys have made around here.
Did he stay or did he go back home?
Isig? I don't know.
So if Isig wants to stay, then I have that's who's going to take care of the smugglers because he gets 20% off the top.
I think he'd want to set up operations here, but most of his business is still out of Pluvo.
Yeah, that's fine and dandy. But like I said, if he was going to stay, then that's who we put in charge of the underworld. He's already our friend.
Twinkle, in addition, is also trying to build an online persona, getting back in touch with old contacts he used to know before he had to go under. Which, to be fair, we're talking about security protocols all that while ago on security missions. Just for research, no, take your security protocols. Otherwise, isekai hide in your cargo hold for an entire trip, and then convince you that they are in fact an intern. No,
do you want to get rats?
On...
This is how we get rats.
This is how we get rats.
I want to get behind the fridge, no less.
Yeah, I was about to say, is this how you get rats behind the fridge?
Oh my God.
He's building an online persona, but he's not using his own name. That's for
so we need another.
People would be another good option for intelligence too, technically.
Well, he's actually already on the intelligence roster.
Oh, Nahir wasn't there to send that to me, so I forgot.
No, he's been on the intelligence roster since Qualu took over, because Qualu approached him and recruited him.
Oh yeah, because that's why I went on that. Yeah, I remember now. Fine. I like Isekai anyway. We all know that. And Twinkle actually has the right accent. Slightly Joe Pesci, but not so much that it's overwhelming.
Oh my God, Joe Pesci is overwhelming as fuck.
Oh.
You say that like it's
no,
funny.
You should. No, you should have been there for Tales from the Shrike verse last night if you really wanted some really bad mobster accents for Isekai.
I miss Glare so much.
Still
working on that.
But there is. I want to get one last scene before we call for the night. And let's what's the I want to know what Ashira is doing with her time here, as you guys are sort of prepping up to do. And here's the other thing, Captain. Have you announced to everybody, announced to the crew that you're what's going on with your situation on the Adari?
No, as far as it goes, all I know is that our next.
You cut out.
Hopefully.
You cut
Can
out.
you hear me?
Yes, now.
Next session, hopefully, I will talk to new inhabitants and get a semi-structure put up. Then they know we're going back to Broken Rock because, well, I owe some people some money.
Okay. Right on.
And that, where we go from that point, they'll just be surprised at this point.
Right. He's just gonna be suddenly you're at the Adari and hey, we're at my home. But what is Ashira doing with this last scene? What is Ashira spending her time doing?
Honestly, I think, obviously drinking with Nerks.
I like to drink with her.
But I think probably, and this is just like the way I see it, I feel like her and I mean everybody we lost people.
Yeah.
And all of us are gonna either deal with it or not deal with it in our own way. But I feel like I mean, if there was a closer that me and Nurks could be, not dating, don't even say it.
Nurk
No,
Shira,
you
Nurk Shira, Nurk Shira.
No.
Oh,
I ship this.
T.
No. Anyway, I feel like that their friendship's gotten a little tighter because I mean, you don't know. I wasn't really close with. Like, I was close to them, the people we left, but not like Nurks close. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I feel like we kind of like it's strengthened our friendship. So we kind of been spending like a lot of time together.
Right, which is probably why you notice that like she's been what's been pissing her off.
Yeah.
She's got no patience for people right now, and she's
Right.
kind of like, you know.
Not to be a dick, but you technically still have a pact to fulfill.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do.
So does Nurk, so that would explain why you're getting tighter as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Because you guys still have a vengeance pact.
Also, you might notice
And we need
that,
to find out about that too, because if they put him in prison, I bet I can put out a hit on him.
Oh, that's another episode. Also, like maybe, and probably not many others, if anyone else, because like I don't think I've been like around a lot of people like a lot other than normal passings. So I feel like Nurks would be the one to notice that maybe my teeth got a little sharper.
Okay. Cool. Right on.
As if anybody wasn't already afraid I would bite them.
Right. And Nurks are probably just like Nurks' reaction was probably like, makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
No shit.
Right on. Well, with that said, because I have to walk to work in the morning, and there are other
God.
things, we will push this. We'll push this a little bit later next week, probably. Try to push it,
Probably.
a tad bit later next week. But I think we accomplished quite a bit of what I was kind of hoping to catch. There's still some things I would have liked to have gotten to, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It happens. But we'll go ahead and do our sign-offs here. And let's go ahead and we will start off with, you know what? Twinkle, show our newbies how it's done.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarah Smith. You just saw me playing Twinkle Bailey, the isekai who is currently, well, one, building a deep-fried meme table. If you have any recommendations, please hit us up on any of our social media sites to give us some additions to a deep-fried meme table that Twinkle will be using in combat with all of his trick attacks. You can also find me, let's see, Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. You can find me playing Acer, the, how do you want to call him? The psychic sniper who is not sure what to do with his new friends, because the first thing they do, they were sent out to try and find some replacement recruits to take their positions so they can move up in this pyramid scheme. And immediately we try to kill people. So, yeah, that was fun. You can also find me on Thursdays playing Heracles, the paladin who is straight up not having a good time. We are supposed to hit a horseless carriage, more or less. No, not a car, an actual horseless carriage or driverless carriage. You're gonna have to help me here, Mike. How does that work?
Robo horses.
Robo horses.
Yes. So
Yes.
it's a hybrid.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to break into that. Keep in
Fantasy
mind, this is
Tesla.
Yeah, you're basically breaking into like a Kia Soul battery edition.
Keep in mind, this is a lawful paladin doing this, so that's a lot of fun. You can also find me on, let's see, Saturdays whenever we do Apocalypse World again. You can find me playing October Sky, the House Carl Skinner, who's wondering if now's the time to bug out or watch The Last Alliance of Beef and Men. On Sundays, you can Catch Me Running, Tales from the Cosmos, where a band of intrepid adventurers, well, they murdered 3 unfortunate souls hiding behind a corner. Bodax. Of course, they got bit back a little bit. And then they decided to turn a giant octopus into sashimi. And still have enough gas in the tank, hopefully, to finish up the rest of this. Find one of our players' parents, which should be a touching reunion indeed. You can also find me. Well, that brings it back to Monday. So yeah, that's it.
All right, cool. Next up, let's go with Brian.
Yes, I'm Brian. I played Shabby Young today. Not much. New people needed their time in the spotlight, but just enough to find out Nahir had special files on how to kill everybody. Those are double coded. I might even triple code them, just to be safe. But
If you look through my stuff, there are different files.
oh, don't worry, I'll be looking at everybody's stuff. I have the way.
That's why we like you.
Anyway, as we continue on Tuesdays, I run Star Wars set within the Old Republic, where our intrepid band of 3 great Jedi and a smuggler. That sounds like a bar joke right there. Need to find work as their ship is getting worked on. But we'll have to figure out what happens tomorrow with that. On Thursday, you can find me playing Ka, the Goliath female fighter with the big F-off weapons, who finally will get to use them this week. This should be fun. I have no moral qualms like the Paladin does. Just saying. And
That's why it's a problem. Sorry.
Hey, I could keep going on with the Fruit Ninja stuff, but that gets boring after a while. On Sundays, you can find me playing Mara Swiftwind and Tales from Cosmos, I think. Whatever. Anyway, Cosmos. And yeah, we had a really fun fight with Cthulhu's baby brother. That's about the only way to put it. And
he almost destroyed the universe.
Yeah, almost. And that brings us back. That brings us back to Monday, and that's it for me. On to the next.
All right. Scott, Psychopathic. Why don't you do your sign off here, buddy?
All right, I'm Psychopath, whatever you want to call me. I don't care. Just pick a name.
Well, he fits in. Words are obviously hard with him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Words are hard. Words have always been hard.
They're always hard. Yeah. All right. So today on this great fun group I finally got to be a part of, I got to play Xander, the android. So yeah. Stupid ship. Anyways. Let's see. Other things I'm in. Let's go through the list. Tuesday nights, I'm in the Star Wars thing is Mosh Steel. I get to play a healer dude. I have no idea what we did last, so I'm kind of confused. But we'll find out later. Let's see. Next thing, I'm in the Hinges to Mitch as Knight. I get to be the fun dude that disappears and sneaks into people's houses and takes the nice, shiny new toys. Ooh, and what's his name's got good food to borrow.
Is it Grinch?
You gonna pay me back for those or not, by the way?
Maybe. I don't know.
You can steal anything from the grocery store. Just go get me groceries, damn it.
Okay, I'll work on that. I was supposed to get milk the other day, I thought. No,
yeah, and you didn't.
Ah, dang. I'll have to work on that. All right, what else we got? That was Wednesday. Thursday, I'm in words again. Legacy of Strandex as Scythe, who's a Scion with a big bald head, and he's doing work. I don't know. Other things is on Flesh and Fire is Jake. He's a mechanic in the apocalypse world, so he fixes things. That's about it. I don't know how I'm going to do in a big fight, but we'll see. Let's see. I'm also on Legion Class Wrestling as Adam Mason, where I'm the manager of Bear the Boulder Breaker, and we're going to make Bear good. And then Sunday, I am in Tales from the Strikeverse as Chess, and we're finding out a lot of information there. I don't know. We finally get a ship, though, so that'll be cool as soon as we get back home.
Worked off your ship.
Yeah. And that's everything I'm in, I think. Yeah, because we're back to Monday. Yeah.
All right.
This guy
Brian,
has a cue card for everything.
Brian and Codex, I still need your player choice of votes. And
Codex.
Amy, you want to give it you want to do your sign off here?
Oh, sure. Okay. Hi, I'm Amy Gedden. Tonight I played Vesa, Lashunta, that is mildly uncomfortable with being in public. This is the only game that I play in right now, but you can find me playing so much Animal Crossing that I'm going to need an intervention.
Nice.
Like, it's a problem, but my island is beautiful. You can come visit, but don't touch my flowers. And that's it. That's me.
Awesome. James. Wait, hold on. I gotta do this because it should, if I'm not mistaken, make Purple Codex at least laugh. James.
Oh my land.
Hi, hello, friend rollers. My name is James, otherwise
Purple,
known
I
as
love when you say that.
Nightheart. And you've seen me here today playing Sarald Silverchild, who should probably just go by S, because he's apparently L. The paranormal investigator from another time or another world. Or maybe he's from this one. You know, when you can see all realities at all times, shit gets real confusing real quick. But witch warpers are fun, even if they and biohackers are like reading a novel. You can also catch me here on Tuesdays, where I am part of the Star Wars game, where I play Chait Nebuchid, the Jedi who now, former Jedi turned Grey Jedi, who now has an entire box of lightsaber parts, but not enough arms to use them. So this is a travesty against nature. On Wednesdays, I am in Hench to Mensch, where I play Martyr, the horribly dyslexic character who is a high school dropout turned mob enforcer, and now is only really in this whole thing because they were like, hey, you can get a GED. So he's going to be the thing that makes this supervillain's thing look legit.
Oh, also, help for your disability.
Yeah, well, that's what he was like. He was like, oh my god, I get a tutor, and I get my GED? Fuck, I'm glad I'm not working for Big Fat Cannoli anymore. On Thursdays, I'm in the Legacy of Stramdex, where I play Seifel, the unlucky Tibbet Duskblade, who is now bound to a very grumpy cloud with many hats, named Precipitous, who is probably also going to be unlucky. He's probably also going to be unlucky, and if Precipitous dies, well, Seifel's probably going to die, because he takes all of Precipitous's health as damage, and then 1d6 stat damage to every stat.
It's pretty brutal.
Ow.
It's a high risk, high reward class there.
Yeah, but Precipitous can also deliver my touch spells for me, and he can move 100 feet around, which is also cool.
Precipitous is just the United States Postal Service. Extremely effective until it's been shut down by people with weapons.
Wow. On Saturdays, moving on, you can find me in either A Spark of Fate, where I play Marin Farcaller, the boring old human sorcerer with the not-so-boring fairy pretending to be a fruit bat named Zamzam.
I love Zamzam.
I love Zamzam more.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or you can find me in one of many different Justice grab bags. Which always depends on what it is. On Sundays, you can find me in Tales from the Cosmos, where right now I am playing Raldemaris, the sad boy homunculus alchemist who got critted by the not Cthulhu, and it took 2/3 of his health off. Everyone else was like, haha, this is fun, and I'm like, haha, this is bad. But I'm an alchemist, so I literally pulled bullshit out of my pockets for the victory.
When everyone's a frontline caster, even the alchemist, I have decisions to make, okay?
The rogue's not a caster.
No, and you're the only one who's... Sorry, too close.
But
You're the only one who stands like 40 freaking billion miles away.
I have to stay. I can only throw 20 feet. I have to be within 20 feet, or else I can't carpet bomb everybody like I'm a Basilgus from fucking Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter.
And I think that's everything. I'm in a lot of things. I'm trying to pull back from a few. That is why Daniel took over last night. Because because sometimes I need a sad boy nap. Like a RimWorld character, I have to have my sad wander because I didn't eat with a table.
Hey, don't joke about not eating with tables. That's legitimate war crimes.
And yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Well, Commodore.
I'm gonna
So
let you take that back and say it the right way.
Commodore?
Goddamn commie.
Yeah. See, and that's how it translated. I'm like, I am not. Pay everyone an equal share. I just don't give them enough food to survive.
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
So, anyway,
You're
I'm
stalling.
Captain Zai. I play on Monday nights with the crew of the Fire Shrike. 4, and I got 4 arms, which kind of look like Goro. This is my favorite day of the week. Mister puts in a lot of time and effort for us, and I have a lot of fun. Sometimes I play Rita Throat Rot, who is a boy that likes to dress like a girl and ride a big motorcycle between her legs.
Ooh.
That's kind of fun sometimes. And I also play in the wrestling game. Oh, yeah, there I am. The Sarasota Kid. That's who I play. I remember who my other persona was. See, what else? Important things. Tonight's episode was brought to you by Bortz Booze and Bitches and by Naughty Nina's Porn Emporium.
If you want it, then you seen it over and all you need is stay.
Right. Most important thing of the night, of course, is my friend Purple Kodak sells t-shirts at tpublic.com. They are both amazing and fantastic. In fact, they are epic. They are so epic, this is a 2-part commercial. James, if you would.
Instead of a merch shop, you would have a Teesprings. Not ethical, but epic and terrible as the dawn. All shall love me and despair.
What the fuck?
And with that, on to my friend Purple Kodak.
Uh,
It made me tear up. It was so good.
First thing, Wither came into my chat and he's like, "No one answered me in the other chat. Tell them I'm offended."
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
Our PR guy is not here, guy.
I said they don't look at the chat.
I try.
I would love to, but I'm usually a bit busy,
I try
doing
so
this part of
hard.
the thing. You know.
They have the YouTube channel with the vids, the VODs.
I'm
Bots.
slowly starting to get those to work. In
Yeah.
fact, our
Yeah.
season retrospective is now on YouTube.
Yay!
Sweet. So season 3 retrospective. Check it out. You can find out a little bit more about the past of this campaign and the characters within it, and sort of the significance of some of the things like R.I.P. Fern.
Yay!
I have one, but I've not used it. I pretty much did a transfer video on it before I switched to Twitch because, well, I had gotten affiliate and that kind of put a pause on things, and I didn't have time to do a lot of the uploading, so I just decided to go with the Twitch thing. Sad face. They will upload it, yeah, to the parrot. What is it called?
Dice Theater. I'll do a social media shout out when it's my outro.
Anyway, for the rest of mine, I don't have any announcements. Still, I'm been pretty boring lately.
Alright, lots of Call of Duty.
Lots of Warzone, yeah. So, but yeah, no, I don't have anything. I'm Purple Codex, and I'm here every Monday night with these guys, unless work screws me over and schedules me late. Then I won't be here. But it's very rare. It hasn't happened a lot, thank God. So, other than that, that's all I got.
Right on. And that will take us to win 5, get 1 free.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mike, also known as Win 5, Get 1 Free, and tonight you have caught me playing a little bit of Matthias Merch Dishboard. I don't really have much to say about him yet. I'll let him speak for himself whenever it comes time to learn about him. Let's see here. You can also catch me on Thursdays when I am running Legacy of Stramdex, where everyone is about to finally get this cart heist thing done. If we can get all of our schedules to line up and the blue moon shines and you tilt your jaw just right and your knees are swollen from rain coming into town because you're an old witch in the middle of the bog and you're casting a spell to make sure that this
fucking guy.
all those good circumstances. That, or you flip a coin and it lands on 50-50, so it lands on its side.
Don't forget to tip your Canadians, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn right. And
Yes,
Brian, I think Brian needs a hair transplant, so be sure to go to his Patreon as well. But no, you can catch me on Saturdays where I do various Paradise Theater. No, that's the name of the channel. Justice Grab Bags or Black Box Theaters. There we go. I play Beef. I play hold on. I play Beef. And then I also play Doyle. The Eastern Bloc. You can catch us, Paradise Theater, if you are on YouTube right now and you've decided that you want to see this madness live. Then you can catch us at twitch.tv/pair_o_dice_theater because someone out there is a bastard who stole our name. And if you are on Twitch right now and you want to catch up on some of our stuff that we have got on the YouTubeosphere, you can go to youtube.com/pair-o-dice-theater, no underscores. And if you want to see some scheduling and hot memes, you can catch us at Twitter @PairTheater. And that is my outro.
I don't know if you saw that, but I had your back with the hot memes.
Oh, thank you. I actually didn't. I can't see anyone's camera right now, but
I know mine's not been working. Like I can only see Twinkles like this whole night. I refreshed and everything.
Really? Oh, mine.
I have everybody but you that has the camera. James, I miss your face.
I put it on the
I turned mine
today
on.
just for the first day of the season.
Right. So, awesome. Well, I think that brings it.
Now he's back.
It brings it. This brings it back to me. First of all, I'm going to do like a end credits scene here, and we get what appears to be a military courtroom, but a military courtroom on metal and hell. It's very, very sort of like there's a military theme to it, but there are like engravings of like just very brutal images, skulls and pitchforks, and all sorts of images of warfare and madness and murder. And we see that there are only a few people in the courtroom. There appears to be, a couple of litigators, what appears to be a judge, and actually it appears to be 3 judges, and there is one familiar face, one, and maybe when we we start with the scar above the left eye, and we pull out to see the face of one Cervantic Courtroom. Now, wearing no armor, and carrying no weapons, and there is the judges. The judges speak forth. They're like, the one in the middle is like, "We'll hear your closing argument." And these judges are all wearing like this spiked up Hell Knight armor and shit. They're not wearing judges' robes. This is very much a military courtroom. It's like, and the first one is like, the defense would like to plead that there was that they were not informed that the contract negotiations were not complete. That the circumstantial, the evidence against the one Cervantes Cordrum is circumstantial at best. The we've heard the testimonies, we've seen the lies, and all this man is guilty of is accepting a contract to bring order to a lawless point of the galaxy, which is after what we are here for. And I ask you not to see this man as a criminal. He's broken no laws. Not to see him as a faithless or traitor. He was simply not aware of the standing of the contract negotiations and was led by those in his circle to believe that the matters had the final matters had been taken care of and were signed. And the judge kind of looks at the judges, look at him, and the middle one goes, and says, you says, probably just says, indeed, prosecution. And the prosecution, lawyer stands up. He's says, we're here for a purpose. We're Hell Knights. We don't do any. We don't make a move without all of the T's and the I's being all the T's without all the T's crossed and the I's. Part of our reputation, part of our business is our reputation, a reputation for professionalism, a reputation that we do not render services until the contract is signed and the set amounts are set. There's a gross negligence in how many resources were committed to this prior to the finalization of the contract. Now, my associate here is right. We have heard the testimony. We've heard the testimony of several on the ranks that served Ordrum, that there were communiques that came through to his flagship that indicated that the contract was not fully completed. We've heard testimony that he refused to look, that Cervantes Cordrum in command refused to even look at the correspondence coming from command. I believe the reasoning he gave was wartime decision making. So it is what it amounted to. I forget the technical terms that they used, but this is a paper thin excuse, and I think it's cut and dry. Given Cordrum's history, both with the stewards and here within our own organization, we can determine that if he could get past his own ego, he would be a fine commander. However, he does not seem to be able to get past his own ego, and it is our argument that he pursued this contract specifically, that he pursued this contract specifically out of a personal vendetta, and willfully ignored communications that ordered that contained cease and desist orders. It says, this man has broken every bylaw of our organization. And while it can be argued that he's committed no crime that can be punished within the Pact World's court, he has committed offenses within the Hell Knight organization. I rest my case. And the judges stand up and he says, we will proceed to deliberation. Cervantes Cordrum, your fate will be decided in the next hour. Recess until judgment.
Hey, says.
He says, and they give away nothing as to what their verdict may be as it stands. And we kind of and this is where we kind of leave off on the scene as the judges sort of single file out the courtroom doors to their chambers to deliberate. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody give yourself 1,000 XP. And Player's Choice Award tonight. Player's Choice Award for those of you unfamiliar or new out there in the audience. Every game, I like to put it to the players to reward their whoever they thought was the most fun in the game, whether it was somebody who had the funniest scene or had the most dramatic, whoever made their character live on in the cinema of our imaginations and made the game more enjoyable for them. I collect the votes, and whoever wins gains extra experience points. And tonight's winner is Amy Gedden.
Woo!
Give yourself an extra 700 experience points. So you get.
Oh, shut up! That's awesome.
Experience.
It's under equipment.
God
Cool.
damn it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And with that said, I guess I should do my outro. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the Just a King Zerat. You can catch me here on Monday nights for Fire Shrike, my favorite group of terrorists, pirates, and never-do-wells. And ladies and gentlemen, if you thought 3 seasons was a lot of road to go down, we still have more. We still have at least 1 more season in us, probably 2. We'll see. But you can also catch me here for a number of other things. And if you're like, gee, we really like seeing you run the game and stuff, but how are you as a player? You can catch me tomorrow on Tuesday nights for the Star Wars Old Republic game, because I am that smuggler who is obsessed with credits and, getting the next job. Zerkina, who gets her Grey Jedi friends into a lot of moral quandaries. And then doesn't exactly always feel the worst about it, but a little bit bad, just a tiny bit. As long as getting paid makes that a little bit better. You can also catch me here on Saturday nights, generally speaking, when we get back to them. Which, by the way, I do want to ask a question here, Chris. Were we shooting for Skitter Crash on this Saturday night?
For that,
You down for that?
if you're not wanting to run, wow, we didn't actually talk about beef in the last stand at Gates of Detroit. But
I mentioned that he exists.
that's
Yeah.
true.
We did
But
too mention
James-
the last alliance of Beef and Men.
I talked about October Sky the House, Carl.
Yeah, it didn't feel the same because I didn't remember James saying that whole bit. Oh, anyway, I'm down for Skitter Crash if you guys are.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Shondarelle, do you have anything to do this Saturday night?
Hold on. I'm working 10 to 7.
We were not going to start till like 8:30.
I will try for this week.
And if not, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to attempt to do a deal where Chris is GMing for some Starfinder action on this set, and we'll probably be like 8, as he said, shoot for around 8:30 start time. You can all Saturday nights. I also do when we get back to it. Spark of Fate, Grunum the Gutfisher, the Tundra Orc Barbarian, literally too angry to die, literally. And then I do run some Justice Grab Bags too, as aforementioned. You can sometimes catch us for Flesh and Fire, where we use the Apocalypse World system to go all post-apocalyptic and Mad Max on it. And it's really weird and crazy and funky. And if there are some, let's just say there's some interesting characters on that particular group, and none of them are good. None of them are good people. They're all kind of psychotic. You can also catch. We also do Legion Championship Wrestling, where we take the worldwide wrestling system, and we pay homage to and make fun of everything about professional wrestling. It's a great time. We laugh our asses off because it's just stupid fun. It's just stupid fun. Or we do occasionally do some comic books with the old DC Heroes system, where we take and we throw away all the DC and we just do our own comic book universe called Faulty Comics Present. And then on Sunday, we do another Starfinder action, which we call Tales from the Shrikeverse, which is characters within the universe of Fire Shrike that are not necessarily directly connected to him, but there's some crossovers here and there. I may rename that particular program and we may head in some different directions, but it exists. God, I hate it when you got to sneeze and it takes a minute. Sorry, guys. Sorry, chat. Sorry, stream. Everybody.
He just gave you the
Everybody-
corona
Just
through his
allergies.
5G
The
internet.
Corona,
Ew.
now on Twitch.
I probably gave you the allergies through Twitch. Which is probably what I did. That's sinuses.
It's the
Anyway.
5G, guys.
Something.
It's the 5G. God
Something
damn
like
it.
that. But with that said, I think that's all we've got for tonight. So let's get a RIP Fern here.